time for the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And of course, congratulations on the win. And before we even get into that, Monte Kiffin got inducted into the Ring of Honor. And I always love hearing coaches talk about other coaches. So what are the memories you have of his career, and what was that like to get a chance to see him get inducted?
Oh, gosh, I've known Coach Kiff for forever. I hate to admit how old I am, but yeah, he's a unique individual, and brings so much energy, always brought energy everywhere he's ever been, and he was a player's coach, and he knew how to put guys in the right position to be successful, and always his teams played with a ton of energy.
I love that. And since we're talking about him, we'll just start with the defense. Mike Edwards, I don't even know the words to use for the fact that this guy, first of all, he and Rondé Barber are now the only Bucs to ever have 2 pick sixes in a regular season game. Anytime you're mentioned with Rondé Barber in a stat, I feel like that's a great sign. So first of all, just take us through those 2 plays and why Mike always has the ball.
Yeah, we stuck Mike at nickel this week, and he's just always around the ball. He studies tape, he knows film, he knows how to watch film. And a lot of guys just sit there and look at it, but they don't really learn anything. So, but they were in cross motion. He came over. He kind of baited. We had good pressure. He baited the throw to his guy and just undercut it and jumped outside and took it to the house. Got to give Carlton the credit for the other one. We had the double corner blitzes, and Carlton jumped up, batted it high, and it went backwards. And Mike just got the easy touchdown. Yeah. And like I told him, I said, run into the end zone, then go get on camera. Don't turn around and get a penalty. But no, it was 2 great plays.
Yeah, that was honestly incredible. And You mentioned that he was at nickel. The versatility of a guy like him that, we'd already asked him to step in for Jordan Whitehead at safety, and then now he's being asked to do this. Both he and Ross Cockrell have been asked to move around, play that game of musical chairs we were talking about last week. So why are those 2 guys in particular so versatile? What are the skill sets, and how important is that for them?
Well, they're both very bright players to start with. And, Ross is more of a corner body. Mike's a safety body, but to be able to play inside and outside, Ross did both in this game. When Carlton went down one time, Jamel went down one time, and he's outside. Then he's playing inside. Then we put Mike back down inside, just to get a little bit bigger presence, And so yeah, it was. They both have very good instincts, and instincts you really can't teach. You just have them or you don't.
I was going to give you credit for him. You don't even want to take credit.
Cannot take credit for that.
How has the versatility worked for you guys in this, watching the musical chairs in the secondary? How would you rate the way that unit overall has still been able to play with so many moving pieces?
I think overall we've been really, really good. We need to tackle a little bit better. We missed some tackles out in space. Antoine missed one, gave up a touchdown that he normally makes every single time. And Cordell Patterson is not an easy guy to bring down. And we let him get loose a couple of times with missed tackles. But overall, I think we're being extremely sound, good assignment football. And, Todd's doing a great job of putting them in good places to win.
And I know, unfortunately, still without Sean Murphy-Bunting, but did get Jordan Whitehead back. Where is he at overall in being ready, and how did you feel like he looked at practice and in the game returning after being out for a while?
I thought he looked good. I thought he looked a little rusty, but he played more than I wanted him to. He played 52 snaps, and after being out 5 or 6 weeks, that was a little bit too much, but the game just dictated it.
Yeah, that's true. And Shaq, we're used to talking about him getting sacks. We got a whole new stat line here. He got an interception. Tell us about that play individually.
Big play for us, and Vita, again, he was recipient of Vita doing a great job of getting his hands up. We batted down a lot of balls.
We really did.
We actually batted down another one that would have been intercepted, and Levante was mad about that one, but JPP batted one down. So D-line did a heck of a job of getting pushed and putting their hands up, and Matt's not an easy guy to get tip balls off. He's so tall.
Yeah, that's a great point. And overall, outside of the interception, and the batted down balls, how did you feel like the outside linebackers overall played?
I thought they were good. I think we had good pressure. We had interior pressure. The whole front, I thought, played. We have rushed 4 most of the game, and blitzed late, and Devin got home a couple of times. But yeah, it was a front 4 type game.
One of the things that we love about having Todd Bowles as the coordinator is he's creative and he's fun. And it seems like not only us as fans, but the Falcons didn't know what he was doing when, that creativity seemed to really be able to come out that game of who's rushing, who's dropping. You got all these guys up at the line that are all such versatile players. Do you feel like he's been able to bust out some of that creativity a little sooner this year now, thanks to some of the consistency in personnel and coaches?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. And whether it's zone or man, the game plans are always outstanding, putting guys in position to be successful and then trying to confuse the quarterback. And if you can confuse the quarterbacks in the NFL, you got a chance.
Yeah, especially a guy like Matt Ryan who has been around the block, knows some
all
things.
the time. He's seen everything.
Yeah. One of the creative things that's been fun to watch is seeing Joe Tryon sometimes lining up in the slot and standing up, and then he's here and then he's there. Is that part of, I know you guys have talked about the value of looking at your players and then trying to see what they can do instead of just your own scheme and forcing that on guys. Is that an example of that where you saw, man, this guy, we got to find a way to get him out there?
Yeah, you don't know what you have until you get him here. And once we got Joe here, it's like, whew, this guy can play safety, he can play outside backer, inside backer, 3 technique, 5 technique. So why not put him in all those places, but make it real simple? Todd does a great job of keeping it very simple for the guys.
And Sue got a sack. He got in there for one. Tell us about that play and then his game overall.
Yeah, I think both he and Vita had powerful rushes all day. I mean, Matt could feel them coming, whether they got sacks or not. Sue got the one sack, but they were there. Their presence was known. Nacho also had a great big play in this game. So the interior rush was outstanding.
Yeah, I feel like those interior guys are some of the ones that don't always get the love, and especially a lot of times stat lines might not show what they really contributed. So, I mean, I know at least Nacho and Golston each had a play that finally people got to notice their contributions. But Nacho, Golston, even McClendon and Vita and Sue, all those guys, tell us what has made that interior so good, and maybe even specifically in that game, what they were doing well.
Yeah, they did a great job of gaming. You're picking for each other and picking for the outside backers and bull rushing and just pushing the pocket back and really shutting down the run. We shut that run down inside out tremendously. A big play in the game was Nacho's 3rd and 1 down there inside the 5 and forcing them to punt. We get short field, get a touchdown. It all works hand in hand.
And I know the one thing that I'm sure were not thrilled about in the game was the penalties. Again, we talked a little bit about it after the Cowboy game. And looking back last year, penalties were an issue, and then suddenly they weren't. So what happened then, and how do we have that happen again now this year?
We just have to become smarter. And it is, some of those penalties were totally individual. All right, just you know, you have to stop yourself.
Yeah, you know what you did.
The pre-snap penalties, they're the ones that drive me crazy. And we jumped off sides a few times trying to get one. I didn't think it was offsides, but and the video proved it. But so it's the offensive pre-snap penalties. The post-snap penalties are going to happen. Guys are going to get jammed. They're going to get hit. I don't know, Carlton's hit, I didn't think was that forceful, but we gave them 3 points in penalties in that drive. And those are things that are going to hurt us down the road.
All right, well, we still have plenty more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We're going to dive into the offensive performance in that game and look ahead to this next week's game against the Rams. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with our head coach, Bruce Arians. So, I mean, I feel like we don't even talk about Tom Brady that much because it feels like everybody else talks about Tom Brady, but we should probably mention him. He does some good things, and I have some stats that just blows my mind. So he's the first Buccaneer and 3rd player in NFL history to throw at least 4 touchdown passes in 4 straight regular season games. And the other people in company with him, not too shabby. Marino is the other guy's tied with, and Peyton is the only guy with more, which is 5, so Brady could get that this next week. These 4 touchdown pass games, I mean, how has he been able to find the end zone so well, and how much is this your game plan, his decisions? Why has he been having such success with this recently?
Yeah, I think all the above. Byron does a great job, and we probably practice red zone offense and defense more than most teams. And Byron had a great plan. Tom sees it down there. Some are runs, and he makes into passes, and he does a great job of just taking what's there in the red zone, and then we're scoring from out further away too. And but when we're in tight, that's really hard for most quarterbacks, and he just sees it, and he's got a great feel for it. And we do have some good weapons for him to throw to.
We're used to hearing about Brady breaking records, and a lot of times they're his own records he's even breaking, and so many of them are based on longevity, right? That it's just he's played so long, you're going to have a lot of these records. But he had 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for the game, which ties the Bucs single game record for passing touchdowns in a game. He's the first passer in team history with multiple of these 5 touchdown games. That is obviously, he's only played 18 regular season games for the Bucs. So now he's breaking records that are not based on longevity, that he's only been here a little over a season. At 44 to be breaking these records, are you even surprised at the level that he's playing at right now?
No, because I don't see him as 44. He's like 25. I mean, he comes out as like maybe a 12-year-old at practice every day, and he's had so much fun, but he's into it, and he's like I said, offense. It starts with the offensive line. He's getting great protection, and the people he's playing with, he has a great continuity with this year. Last year it was a filling out process, and it says volumes about being able to break Bucs records in only 18 games, and it says something about the Bucs' history of running the ball too damn much.
Well, that's why we brought you in here, get us a few more of those touchdown passes. I know he was sacked a few times in the game yesterday, so he does tend to have good protection at large. But what happened in yesterday's game in particular?
1, we flat missed the guy, and 2, he held the ball too long. The sack fumble, he just should have got that out of his hand. He was getting a little greedy, and he should have got that ball out of his hand, and we got a field goal. And of all the drives in the game, that was the one I was most disappointed in, because that was when we got the penalty. We're going in to score. We get the penalty for roughing. Then we get the sack fumble. It should have been 14-0. That put me in a bad mood for the rest of the game.
Which nobody wants. I'm sure everybody on the team is like, regardless of everything else, we don't want to be in a bad mood. All right, we have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. A little bit more about that Falcons win and looking forward to next week's game against the Rams. We'll be right back. We're back on the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns. Big day for Mikes all the way around. Mike Edwards, Mike Evans, they just started competing with each other. We had talked about how it was not necessarily Mike's day against the Cowboys, but it's always just a matter of there's so many weapons, it's going to be your day at some point. Why was the Falcons game Mike's day?
Yeah, the way they were playing, and again, Byron did a heck of a job of finding Mike inside some, outside some, and putting him in position where Tom knew exactly where, hey, this ball's going to Mike. I know this coverage right now. But I think the biggest one was in that last touchdown drive when we got the deep in route, and he was like the 4th option. Wow. And Tom, again, great protection. Boom, boom. He goes working it back across the board. Mike's in a great spot down there, and that leads to the last touchdown that sealed it.
Yeah, and I noticed you guys went to him right off the bat, too. The 2 of the first 3 plays were to him combining for 45 yards. I mean, when Mike's already got 45 yards after 3 plays, it feels like it's probably going to be a good day. Was that an intentional thing to get him involved, or was that just what the defense was giving you?
That's what the defense was giving us. We wanted to jump out and attack in this ball game, and I love the script Byron put together. And it could have went to Chris, could have went to Mike. The coverage dictated they'd go to Mike, and he's off and running.
Yeah, we had talked about how the last preseason game when your starters were out there, and then against the Cowboys, the first drive had struggled, and then the second was when things kicked in. How happy were you to see right off the bat this time that precision? I mean, that first drive was beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. We talked a lot about starting fast and finishing strong, and offensively, it's been a bad pattern. In practice, I threw him off the field last week, and the defense started every day. The weather was the only reason we took the ball. I didn't know when that rain was coming, but when the sun was shining, we were taking the ball.
Yeah.
And they responded. They responded beautifully. We went right down the field and scored.
They
said should have went right back and scored again.
Yeah, right. They said we don't want to get thrown off the field again. We already know how this has gone in practice. And now Gronk, another couple touchdowns. Again, just the fact that we can copy paste 2 touchdowns for Gronk now. I mean, are we going to do this again next week? Is this the plan?
That would be a beautiful thing. This is going to be a tougher sled next week.
Yeah, that's true. So, 4 through the first 2 games for him. What has worked so well, not only for him just offensively in general, he's also getting other yards, but finding the end zone in particular.
Yeah, he's in great health and condition, and they've got such great chemistry, and I mean, he really wasn't the first option on the first one. They had blitzed off the other side. Tom saw it and just immediately whipped his head back, and Gronk had run a great route, got his depth, put it in, and just drug him into the end zone.
Yeah, and I mean, he's now the first player in Bucs history with 4 or more receiving touchdowns in the first 2 games of the season. That's not for tight ends, that's just people in general. So, and now ties the NFL record for consecutive games with multiple touchdown receptions by a tight end for the whole league. It's just amazing the things that he has been able to produce. And then Chris Godwin, another touchdown as well. Also got 4 catches, 62 yards. And something else about Chris that I think is unsung is he drew a couple of those defensive pass interference calls, and I'm sure in your mind that almost counts as him getting some extra yards.
Yeah, somehow that stat should add up.
Yeah.
You know, you should have like 4 catches plus 75 yards of penalties.
Agreed.
You know, he had a 100-yard game in my book easily. Yeah. And again, great throws by Tom, but Chris gets himself open all the time and did a great job blocking too.
Where have you seen him grow the most in, whether it's his route running or just why he's been so successful at getting himself open? Where have you seen that improvement?
I think the improvement comes from Byron knowing him more, Tom knowing him more, but when he does the dirty work, you know, he does the dirty work as a blocker, and when that puts you in position to catch a lot of balls also, because you're the guy working in the middle of the field and you're doing some things. Only negative thing, we had one drop on 3rd down that I'm not used to seeing Chris have, but he just continues to get better. He's the most reliable guy.
And then I know your running backs, after the first week, they'd had a couple turnovers they weren't happy with. And how did you feel now that they came out this last week? What did you think of their performance as a tandem together?
We can be better. We can be better. We should have made some short yardage runs that were there. And I think we were looking for too many big plays, and just get what's there. And overall, 2 missed blitz pickups, probably the biggest negative thing.
Yeah. And how do you view their blocking overall in since you've been here with them? Have you seen that be an area of improvement, or is that one of the top areas you're still working on with them?
They block well. You just got to get your eyes in the right spot. When you're looking at your guy and he blitzes, you got to block him. Right. And but if your eyes aren't looking at your guy, we got a problem.
And O.J. Howard, his first catch of the season and a 21-yarder to, not a bad way to start out. What worked for him on that play, and do you feel like now you're willing to say that he's 100% ready to go? I
would not say he's 100%. He's getting real close. Mm-hmm. He's getting real close, and we're going to try to up his snap count. And but yeah, that was a big play, and it was good, really good job. Gronk drew the coverage. We had 2 seam routes going, and those 2 big guys are running down the field. They can stretch it pretty good.
Yes, that's a potent thing for a defense to try to deal with. All right, we have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We are going to look ahead to that Rams game. We'll be right back. It's time for our final segment here on the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips with head coach Bruce Arians, looking at the Rams. First of all, first time getting to play in this new stadium. Is that a thing that you look forward to?
I really do. It looks like a beautiful stadium. My hair is really loud too, so we've got our work cut out for us.
Yeah, you got to work on that voice, because I know it's not like you're not going to yell at the refs and at the team.
Exactly.
It's still going to happen. So how about let's start with their coaching and Sean McVay, what you've learned about him as a head coach, how you tend to prepare for him, and then now knowing especially that Raheem Morris is also part of that staff, that duo, how do you prepare for them?
Yeah, Sean's an outstanding offensive mind, and he does a great job, and obviously you got Matt Stafford, and that has elevated their offense. I mean, they're throwing the ball way down the field better than they ever have. But he starts with the running game, and then he's going for the chunks, very similar to us. Raheem inherited a defense that's pretty solid. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and they're not. He's running their defense, and he also great coach. They're going to play really, really hard. Anywhere Raheem's at, they're going to play really, really hard.
And how are you guys handling the West Coast trip during COVID, and just the way you schedule all of this? What does that look like for you guys? Yeah,
normally we'd have gone on Friday, and but we're going to travel Saturday and do all our meetings here. Get there and go straight to bed and get up and try to play the game and get back home.
Yep. And how about Cooper Kupp? What have you seen in terms of the weapon he is for, Jared Goff versus Matt Stafford, and the ways that he can be a threat as well?
Well, he's the go-to guy, and he is one hard tackle. I mean, I put him in there with Cordarrelle Patterson. I mean, he breaks more tackles. His yards after contact and yards after catch are amazing. We got to do a great job of getting him on the ground.
And you mentioned Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but what are some of the things about them that maybe people don't even know to appreciate about what makes them so good, that game planning against them is compared to somebody else at their position?
Well, Jalen plays so many positions now. You used to know he's at this corner or he's going to follow this guy. He plays nickel. He's all over the place, and he's a great football player. And Aaron Donald, we all know about him. He can play outside, inside. And he is a handful. Our guys know he's a handful, and so we have always know where he's at, and we got to know where number 5's at.
All right, well, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck against the Rams.
Thank you.